Hi everyone and welcome back to Chess for Charity. In this video, I'm going to show you a really cool mate in 2. So if you just take a look at this position, all of black's pieces are under attack at this moment. So this rook is attacking this bishop is attacking this knight, this rook is being attacked by our bishop on g3, and this queen is attacking f6, and even the queen itself is being attacked by the pawn on f7. Your job is to figure out how to tie all that together to produce mate in 2. Not so easy. So if you want to take a second and try to solve that, feel free to pause the video. If not, I'm going to go right through it in just a moment. Before I do that, I would quickly like to encourage you to subscribe if you have not yet already. We're making a lot of progress and I really appreciate all the support, so thank you for that. Okay, so the move here is a little harder than you might think. You might say, hey, I can just promote or I can just capture and promote. In either way, it's going to lead to mate, right? The king would take, I can give check here. The king is blocked off by the rook and the queen, which means they have to go to f8, and that's going to be a simple mate, right? And you'd be right. That's mate in 3, though. So what if I did something different? What if I, pushed? Maybe you're thinking this. Well, no, it's the same exact thing. King takes f8. Now the queen would capture here, and what's going to happen? The queen itself has to interpose. That's it. Okay, those are mate in 3s. I'm looking for mate in 2. So one thing that you might have to think about is how could I put the king in a position where it's more vulnerable than the current place it's in? And that's one thought. And your eyes probably gravitate toward this f7 pawn, but what about other moves? Are there any other checks? So let's look at a check like this, right? If I take here, this is a cool move, right? I can be captured. I can even promote to a knight, but this is not mate, right? Because this can be captured because this knight was not pinned or anything. And although it's a nice thing, it's not actually going to be mate. This is mate, but it's, again, mate in 3. So you have to find a creative solution. This queen sacrifice is a good idea, but it doesn't quite work because mate in 3, not mate in 2. So let's ask yourself a couple of questions. So if this king were somewhere else, let's say it was here, what would be the result? Could I mate them then? And that's kind of the way that I'm thinking about this. What if it was somewhere else, like on the D file? What if I put the queen like here and then try to deflect away of the queen, maybe do some fancy kind of mate? It doesn't really work because they can always capture my piece on f8, right? So although the idea is there, it's not quite working, right? So if you want to go the other way with that, if you expected them to take with the king, it still doesn't really work because this will, again, still be mate, but it's not going to be mate in 2 by any stretch. So your goal is to look at all these forcing moves, and one of them might come to mind and you might see the key. So the move, I'll give you a hint, it's a queen move. The move is queen to d6. What is happening with this move? So what this does is it brings the king to a square that seems to be like right in the middle of the board. What's the point? Look at what that move does. That move, in one move, pins 4 different pieces. Look at that. The rook is now pinning the bishop. Let's use a different color. This bishop is pinning the knight. This queen is pinning their knight. And this bishop is pinning their rook. Isn't that insane? So right now, really everything is defenseless. At least the king is defenseless because all of the surrounding defenders can't move. So that seems like a cool thing, but how do I finish the mate here? If I take this and check and play with the queen, that's not going to be mate. Even though it cuts off, there's no check, and this is a move, and then I can make the cool move, queen takes e5 mate. That's not mate in 2. That's mate in 3. So what is the final move here? Maybe I do something like this, promote to a bishop, promote to a queen. No, that's not going to be it because it will get captured. Instead, the only move that cuts off this square and gives check to the king in one shot is pawn takes queen, knight. And look at that move. That move is checkmate. So this bishop now covers d5. This knight, incredibly, cannot be captured by this knight or this knight or this bishop or this rook. Look at that crazy thing. That's just so nuts, the way that this knight cannot be captured by any of the pieces because they're all pinned. I think that is one of the coolest little sequences I've seen in a while, and I see puzzles every day at this point. But I love that. So that's it. Queen to d6, forcing the king to come out, and all 4 pieces are pinned. So then you take that last piece with the knight, and this rook cuts off. This bishop is doing a good job. This bishop is doing a good job, and that is checkmate. Beautiful puzzle. If you enjoyed it, let me know. Tell me if you've ever seen something like that. 4 different pieces. I've never seen that. Maybe you have. Let me know what you think. But that's it for now. Thank you so much. Bye.